Today, we got the Season 2 finale of Helluva Boss, Sinsmas. So let's talk about it, the future of the show, and what to expect next. My name is Deepcut, demons call me ImpCut, and subscribe because we're going to be talking about Helluva Boss all week. Now, this episode was one fans have been really anxious about because after the epicness that was Mastermind, we weren't sure what to expect. This could have been an entire filler fluff piece holiday special, or it could have been an epic as heck finale, and what we got actually was the best of both, I'd say. This episode did mostly work on resolving the issues of the previous episode, but it also built up to some really fun and satisfying action scenes before the biggest emotional punch through Octavia. To start, the episode opened with Stolas waking up on Blitz's couch, where we learn that this is the first time he's seen Blitz's home. This was surprising to some of the older fans who may remember the Instagram post created by the Helluva Boss crew that featured Blitz and Stolas watching a movie on Blitz's couch. These were made by the Helluva Boss crew, as I said, but they were said to not be entirely canon, and Stolas makes that clear in this episode when he is shocked by how much horse merchandise Blitz has around his home. After a happy conversation to let us know where the story is picking up, we get a montage of Blitz and Stolas living together, and Stolas learning how to live as a poor person now that he's cut off from the Goetia wealth. This means hunting rats for food, stealing clothes, and unfortunately, dealing with the harassment of the other demons who saw the trial and now hate Stolas. This montage leads into the actual plot of the episode, which opens on Christmas Day, or as it's called in Hell, Sinsmas. This is the day each year where native demons celebrate their heritage by indulging their native sin, or any sin that they want, as Blitz says. This has Moxie and Millie fighting each other because they are from Wrath, and at the end of the episode, Luna going hardcore with some booze because she is from Gluttony. Blitz simply pushed Stolas, so acts like a Wrath imp here, though most people believe he was born in Pride since that's where he grew up and doesn't talk about being from Wrath the way he does with Moxie and Millie. He may still see himself as Wrathian because he is an imp, but Blitz said you can indulge any sin you want either way, so it doesn't actually have to point to any specific meaning. Lining Sinsmas up with Christmas is funny, as from what I understand, before Christmas there was the celebration of Saturnalia at the same time this month, where social norms and thus moral norms were inverted. This made what we now think of as the birthday of Jesus Christ the most sinful day of the year at one point, with not just gambling and boozing, but pretty heinous things that we don't even want to mention on this channel. It makes sense that in Hell they would have this same tradition on Christmas Day, not as a response to the Christian tradition, but as its actual predecessor. For Sinsmas, Blitz ends up bringing Stolas to his office so that he can work and earn something of a paycheck, something Blitz can afford to do, it seems, because of the new success of his business, especially after it was advertised through his trial. The problem is that the Sinner of the Week is upset that her husband on Earth left her for another man, just like Stolas left Stella for Blitz. This makes Blitz uneasy about taking the job, as he doesn't want to see himself as having ruined someone's relationship and being deserving of vengeance. But Stolas has a breakdown and talks about how the man deserves it because he's of course just thinking about himself. He doesn't feel guilty about what he did to Stella, of course, because screw her, but instead, he's sad that he broke up his family and can no longer be there for his daughter Octavia, who this episode is really about. Since the trial, he had been trying to reach out to Octavia, but Stella wouldn't let her talk to him. And when Blitz is off doing this mission with the rest of the IMP gang, it leads to Stolas needing to storm Andrealphus's mansion and see Octavia. Octavia really got to shine this episode with her own song that served as a sequel to the song Stolas sang to her back in Season 1, Episode 2, It Will Be Okay. In this new song, Octavia reinterprets her father's message about not being there as being about him no longer being in her life because he was kicked out of the Goetia to protect Blitz. By the end of the episode, she makes it clear that she sees Stolas' self-sacrifice as making another step towards leaving her behind. To see this happen on TV and have no advance notice of what was going to happen after already being separated from Stolas for so long had to make her feel like he had this entire life that was very important and just not about her. An entire life that he would give his own life for, leading to him not being able to be in her life. All of this happened when Stolas decided to storm Andrealphus's castle because he couldn't handle not being in Octavia's life anymore. And we get such a satisfying moment where Stolas beats up Andrealphus before he activates his cool Disney princess powers. This leads to an epic showdown with the IMP gang and Andrealphus, where Luna gets something of a full demon form where she runs on all fours and Blitz gets to ride her into battle. But the real kicker was Octavia coming in and using her powers in order to save everyone at the last minute. Despite Octavia coming in to save her dad and his new boyfriend, she still isn't happy with feeling abandoned though, and we finally get to the heart-shattering line that we first heard in the Season 2 trailer.
You never loved mother, and you don't love me, you love him.
This was a seed planted all the way back in Season 1, Episode 2, and now here we are years later at the end of the Season 2 finale. The big shocker for Octavia was learning that her father was on Belphegor's happy pills throughout her childhood. Up to that point, Octavia seemed to cling to the idea that her father was at least happy with her, even if he wasn't happy with Stella. But after seeing the box filled with empty bottles of happy pills, she began to think that every single happy moment she had with her father was a lie. Something he had to force himself to do for her, the same way he forced himself to be a husband for Stella. Octavia has wanted to be on Stolas' side, but her insecurities have made her feel like she is no different from her mother, just someone Stolas placates out of obligation instead of love. And so the episode ends with Andrealphus defeated and Octavia wanting nothing to do with her father. This could have sent Stolas flying over the edge, but the episode manages to end on something of a happy note, at least for him and Blitz, with a beautiful scene of them talking and then dancing together. This scene is great because it's kind of a map of their entire relationship in a conversation. It starts with Stolas on their fire escape, alone and lonely, with Blitz coming in and asking if he can steal some of Stolas' smoke. Stolas jokes that Blitz always steals what he wants from him, which is true, but that allows them to have a reason to be close on the fire escape, where Stolas insists that Blitz should be going back into the party. This really summarizes what the relationship has been up to this point, granted with Stolas now being a bit more drained and unenthusiastic in this miniature retelling. Though part of this is also because Stolas has changed himself. He's essentially showing how different he is here from what their dynamic was before, and talking about how Blitz is still in his own pattern. Stolas started by acting like Blitz is predictable because he wanted to steal something from Stolas. And by following with Blitz's patterns before, this means that Blitz is going to want to go back inside, and Stolas is giving him that opportunity to prove him correct. At this point, Blitz has also changed though, and because of that, instead of going back inside when Stolas insists it's the natural thing to do, Blitz chooses to stay and dance with Stolas on the fire escape. Here, they talk about how weird their dynamic seems from the outside. They're talking about their height difference in particular, but what they really mean here is that even though their relationship started off as something of an arrangement, it's ultimately what worked for them and brought them together, and they do want to be together. When it comes to Blitz, he couldn't even bring himself to kill the family their client wanted them to, because he saw too much of himself and Stolas in this new family. Two men coming together to raise their respective daughters as a family. It's a family not that different from any they had killed before, and maybe identical to one that they've killed off screen. But it was understood with what happened recently that this mission was hitting too close to home, and what Blitz saw when he looked through the window wasn't what he now had, but what he wished he could have. Blitz isn't just being selfish and thinking about himself. He understands the love Stolas has for his daughter, and that might actually be part of why Blitz actually cares for Stolas, as it's something they can relate on, as Blitz does have very strong feelings for his daughter as well. At this point, Blitz doesn't feel complete without Luna, and that means for him, Stolas can't be complete without Octavia, even if Blitz and Octavia themselves don't have any real connection. So what we get in this fire escape isn't a happily ever after, but it does bring our characters together in a way that makes me think there won't be much drama, and that's a good thing. The characters are tired, they sound tired, and the writers are tired. Not in a bad way, but in a good way. The relationship has been a fantastic hike to a beautiful view. And when you finally get to the top of that hill, all you really want to do is enjoy that view with a person you love and enjoy some of your vices together. Before, Stolas and Blitz's relationship had so much about power and status and all of these labels and ideas about hierarchy. But as Stolas explained, they had now saved each other's lives and were in something of balance now that Stolas was no longer a Goetia. There's no forced dynamic, but there's also not a need to act romantic in the traditional sense. And instead, Blitz and Stolas feel like they're finally together without having to put on any act at all, even the way they kind of did in the beginning of the episode. It did an amazing job for making you feel like these characters are in love without just resorting to them saying they love each other either too nervously or too passionately and too cheesily. It's a moment that addresses their entire relationship, dating back to when Blitz first started stealing from Stolas back during Stolas' tragic gay childhood, where this little imp of a thief was the closest thing Stolas had to a friend that wasn't another Goetia royal like Visago. But what do you guys think? And if you want your own tragic gay childhood t-shirt, check out the Cartoon Universe shop, where we have tragic gay childhood t-shirts that come in regular or extra gay at no additional cost. We're also putting out a few different flags you can choose from. Request a flag you would sincerely buy in the comments down below if you don't see it in the shop, and we'll try to add it if we can. Don't forget to subscribe for more Helluva Boss, and if you haven't seen it, check out the video I made breaking down the Disney Atlantis movie, where I go really deep into the real-life myths that support the Atlantis theory. See you guys there.